Hello, good evening. Welcome to another edition, another drive-by edition of the CantinaMX podcast. Glad to have you with us as always. It'll be another gentleman's agreement edition of the CantinaMX podcast. As on my television tonight, that person signed heavily back that joins us from Southern California. Joel Aceves joins us as a Chivas fan for 80 years. Joel Aceves, how are you, sir?
Doing good. It's season is looking very good for Chivas. Very positive start, and changing fortunes seems to be at hand.
How long do you think, Joel, that these fortunes will be tipped in favor of the Chivas of the Rebaño Sagrado? I was going to say, what would you describe Chivas? There's only one way to describe Chivas: the Rebaño Sagrado.
Exactly.
El rebaño.
The sacred herd. But no, the team is not that strong. A few injuries, suspensions, and they're gonna suffer. But because Liga MX has Liguilla, you don't have to be top four. You could go in through that coveted eighth seed. So and I think Chivas is strong enough to at least sneak in through there.
Normally, Joel, I would poo-poo the 8th seed. But Pumas won their bicampeonato being the 8th seed.
Yeah.
When Veracruz was, believe it or not, Veracruz of all teams was the number 1 seed, and Pumas was able to knock them out. And then a couple of key goals took care of Monterrey in the final. So
yeah,
yes, the 8th seed has as good a chance as anybody else.
Yeah, and the other Guadalajara team is also doing good.
Hang on. So you're telling me, Joel, that Guadalajara and Atlas won on the same weekend, probably for the first time in at least 10 or 11 years. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's first time in a long time. Both Guadalajara-based team won, and the Zorros just beat your Pumas in Copa MX action in Seoul 1-0. So I mean, looks like Atlas, because we were like everyone else laughing at them. Because of Rafa Marquez commentary about we're the fourth best from the bottom up. With presupuesto, with money to build a squad. So yeah, they probably had to moneyball it. Be pretty smart with who they bring in, and who knows? But Liga MX, it could be deceiving. The first 4 or 5 fechas can be deceiving. I don't know if you remember.
Atlas,
you remember
like 10 years ago, they started off 3-0. We're at 9 points. They were in first place. Then they won another game for like 10 weeks. So,
damn.
Yes.
Well, the closest one I remember was Tijuana. They went, I think half the season they went, and they were undefeated at home. And they were top the table, and everyone was thinking they were candidates for the Liguilla. And then all of a sudden they crashed pretty hard. Ended up not even qualifying.
Well, Atlas is not a team to completely avoid taking advantage of situations. I remember on about 10 years ago, I think it was, in the Copa Libertadores, and they went down to the Bombonera. This was I think either round of 16 or the quarterfinals. I forget. It was in the knockouts for sure. And they tied 2-2. So they had 2 away goals. and they were heading back to the Jalisco for the second leg. So all they had to do was, essentially, win 1-0 or tie 1-1, and they were through. Not only were they through, but they were going through by beating Boca Juniors, which, as we all know, is one of the more prestigious South American clubs, if not, definitely in the top 4 or 5. So what does Atlas do in the first 10 minutes of the game? They're down 3-0. So Atlas is a team that just cannot handle any kind of success. So despite the fact that both Chiefs and Atlas both won, I fully expect Atlas to do their return to normalcy relatively quickly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is Rafa Marquez' project. That'll be pretty sad to see. I know he really wants to make Atlas great again, and it's quite the task.
Well, when were they ever great?
1950, 51, 1951.
Now, when he was playing before he went to Monaco, they came really close. Did they make a final, or did they come close?
They made the final, and they went to penalty kicks. And I remember because after Marquez scored his penalty, he grabbed his crotch. I think he was sending a message. Yeah, I forgot who he was sending the message to. But they lost to Toluca. I think it was Cardoso, who is now at Chivas. Full circle, Yon.
Circle of life, circle of life. Exactly right.
Go full circle here. Yeah, and Cardoso was the striker for Toluca at the time, and and La Volpe was the coach for Atlas. He was a coach.
Now, was that the Atlas? Was that the Borghetti, and Rafa, and Pavel Pardo? Was it that group, or had Borghetti already left? He had already left, no?
Yeah, I think they had left. I think it's when they had Osorno, and they had, I think it was Cepeda. There was this one, what they call him, El Calusha, I think. It was this tragic, I don't know if you remember, it was pretty tragic it was this promising striker, and he was in a car crash and he had his leg amputated.
Was it the scoring leg?
Too soon. No, maybe not too soon. That was years ago. I don't know which leg, but that was it, man. That was it for his career.
That is such an Atlas story. It's just they finally get a guy, and then it's we make fun of Atlas a lot on the show, and I actually, believe it or not, I know an Atlas. I don't know if he wants me to tell people that he's an Atlas fan, but the play-by-play Spanish voice of the Dallas Cowboys and the Dallas Mavericks, Victor Villalba, is an Atlas fan, believe it or not. And it is a pretty remarkable story as to how because he never lived in Guadalajara, and he only lived in Mexico for a short period, and it was when he was going to the American school. Anybody that knows anything about Mexico City, the American school is kind of in the southwest part of the city, over by the ABC hospital on Observatorio. And he lived, most people that went to the American school were gringos, obviously. Most of them lived either in Polanco or Las Lomas. Well, he lived nowhere near that. So on his Saturday nights, instead of hanging, he was hanging out with Atlas, because that was the team on Saturday night. So that's how he ended up. By just geographical incompatibility with his friends, Victor Villalba became an Atlas fan because that was the team that was on. And if you remember, they were on at 9 o'clock on Saturday nights forever. I'm not sure what time they're on now, but that was the Atlas time. And so that was what he would watch. He would watch Atlas.
Yeah, and if you got to see that team with La Volpe, that was an exciting team to watch.
I remember one time I was in college and I went back to Mexico. We used to, as I'm sure you know, I was very fresa when I was living in Mexico. We were going back to my grandmother's house, who lived in Acapulco. So we were at the Mexico City airport, and I was in cuts of a game, and I had to assume it was close to the final because it was late the mid, and it was an Atlas goal where the guy was a throw in where the guy does a thing where he puts the ball down and then flips, and then like because he's like a trebuchet, just slings the ball, goes like 50 yards into the area, and they end up scoring a goal. I think, holy crap, Atlas has just won the championship. Of course, that wasn't the case. It wasn't what happened. But I thought, has hell really frozen over that Atlas is now winning championships in Mexico? Because at that time, I was not as attuned to Mexican soccer as I am now. So obviously, it wasn't the case. Atlas did not win the championship. But I was very surprised to see, just frankly, any kind of Atlas highlights on the TV. So, because when I think of Atlas, I think of a team that is constantly battling the relegation battle. That's the Atlas I know and love. Chivas, Chivas, what is going on with Chivas? They got a big win over Tijuana, a solid win. Joel, you seem to think, and I think that you have asked your fellow Chivarmanos, the ones that went out on loan last season, you have recalled them.
Yes, it is
time to come back. It is time to come back to the rebaño. It looks like Chivas is poised to have a pretty good season. Even with or without the new refuerzos that appeared to all get injured in the game against Tijuana.
Yeah, they were dropping like flies. Well, I think it's they were pretty smart with how with how they set up the team, and they knew last season that it was going to be difficult, but that they needed to get a lot of the younger youth players. They needed to, for a lot of them to develop or to get more playing time and see which ones are ready. And they were 6 points short from Liguilla. It was Querétaro that ended up qualifying. 6 points, that's just 2 games. And so with
well, let's with
upcoming.
So they had 20 points. They in 17 games. They were able to muster up 20 points.
Yeah, and they only won 1 game at home.
So they've already equaled their home win total from last season.
That they did. But if you look at the calendar, they're gonna have some accessible games at home. So I mean, they could easily win. I would say 4 games at home. It's within the realm of possibilities to say, oh, they won 4.
Strike up the ghosts of the Campeonísimo. They're gonna win 4 games at home.
But yeah.
Are they gonna bring back the Jamaicón? Is Chava Reyes gonna make an appearance?
It's just the rivals, it's the rivals you get. So they're gonna get some good rivals. I don't have the calendar with me.
So who are the rivals then? So they get the Super Clásico at home. The Super Clásicos at home.
Yeah,
and they get Monterrey at home.
Yeah, but those weren't those aren't the accessible games I'm talking about. Okay, hold on. Here it is. I have it now. So they're gonna get Toluca, which I think they could draw.
Right.
But that's not the teams that I was thinking of at home. It's gonna be Tiburones, which I'm starting to have second thoughts playing it in a bit, because I forgot something very important about Tiburones. But Tiburones, on paper, it should be one of the accessible teams, and Atlas, which is the other one that they're doing good, and these teams I didn't want to do good, but these are 2 home games. that and then there's Lobos Buap, Puebla, and León. So I mean, out of those 5 games, if they win 3 and they already beat Tijuana, that would be 4 home wins. So that's why I still maintain they could get 4 minimum.
So
And then you never
they're
know.
halfway home to the coveted 26-point threshold they need
Yes,
to be the
yes,
eighth
sir.
seed in the league.
Yeah, and then you never know. Just because how unpredictable the league is, uh, if they were to beat Monterrey or in America, it wouldn't be that far fetched, just because it's happened before. It's league is.
Well, it happens about every 8, about 11 years ago. So you got at least 7 more years to wait before the
Yeah,
comet returns.
yeah. Well, Yona, I still think 2020 is Chivas number. I have it at 2020. Could be
2020,
clausura. It could be clausura apertura, but I still think 2020. I think this team is is
Chivas. We're talking about Chivas, a team that
yeah, but
like
they won it not
Atlas,
so long ago. Chivas
like
did win the league not so long ago, and the CONCACAF. So I mean, it's some of those players are still going to be there. But I
now
do
now
think
does
what happened.
Chivas's big win over Tijuana, does that erase the terrible performance they had at the Club World Cup,
Oh,
where
for
they
sure,
were
man. I don't know what fans thought that Chivas was going into the Clubs World Cup.
well, they thought they were going to win it. I mean, if you ask any Chivas fan, you know,
Yeah,
Real Madrid was playing so bad they thought it was going to be a flan. They couldn't even get by the Kashima Antlers.
yeah, and that was the other, that the team that some of these teams we tend to, just not respect, uh,
No
even if we don't
respect.
know much about them. But I think I I think those expectations were pretty. I just think a lot of the fans just get excited and then they don't see the reality of things and how just where the team is and where it's trying to be at. That just wasn't the moment.
So, so
It
where's
was.
the team right now?
I think because they were looking for changes and doing cambios, and there was still some disgruntled, you could say, like disgruntled players that just weren't happy with the changes. One of them was Edwin, who was sent to Pachuca, and he badmouthed Cardoso in social media. Called him a pendejo on Instagram. I'm not sure. I think Pachuca made him apologize, so he issued a public apology. But he was one of the guys that was like pissed. He was saying how he deserved to play Clubs World Cup because he helped the team get there. And for the club, like just what Cardoso has to do is you have to bring in new players, which is one of the reasons someone like Salcido needed to go. Can't keep he was just holding back some of the younger talent that just need
Well, I
playing
mean,
time. They need
there's no question
opportunity.
that Salcido overstayed as well. I think anybody
Yeah.
see that, but to unceremoniously just it's kind of like that scene at the end of Amadeus when Wolfgang finally dies, right? And they just basically cover him in lye and throw him in an unmarked grave. He's acabó. And there was no, there was no send off. There was no homenaje. They just said he's not part of the team. And then he probably had to find out from, he probably got a text. Oh, by the way, don't come to the training camp because you're not going to be on the team. Players of this caliber, a player who played well on 3 World Cups, helped Chivas win some trophies, was part of a dazzling team back in the aughts. To me, as close as you can get this century to an ídolo for Chivas in Carlos Salcido. At the very least, send out a message, publicly thanking him for the service that he's provided for the club. He's a Chiva de Hueso Colorado from day one. And for Eindhoven, freaking Eindhoven, where he played for just a couple of years, to give him an homenaje, and Chivas didn't. See, this is the kind of stuff, boy, that drives me crazy about Liga MX and their complete lack of understanding of public relations and how they manage the message of what it is that they're trying to do. All they had to do with Carlos Salcido was to thank him publicly, and just send out any kind of warmest regard. Thank you so much, Capitan Carlos, for everything you've done for Chivas. Good luck in la próxima etapa de su vida. Right? Boom, done. They could have a little press conference with him. We talked it through. He's not part of our plan. They can lie their out, whatever it is. But the way they did it, it's like, seriously. And of course, Chivas fans, he was terrible the last 2 years, so he deserves it. No, man, come on.
Yes, I agree. I agree, John. I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Shame on Chivas for treating Carlos Salcido the way.
Salsa. But I think, just Chivas was smart in what they did, and they took the criticism that was just coming. They inherited some from Almeida. The Almeida fans, very apologetic, but he played his part in some of the mess that is the team, not winning at home and two seasons without Liguilla. But I think they were smart in the players they brought in. Alexis Vega, Villalpando, and Moises.
Mier, frankly, before his injury was.
Oh yes.
He would have been a starter in the World Cup as a defender. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Whether in 2014 or even 2018.
Yeah, and so what gives me confidence? There's gonna be money coming in. So this summer the television renews for the U.S. So they might have a big bonus right there. Let's see, Telemundo or Fox might pony up. So
right.
Chivas
and the non-linear portion of it, the online portion, is much more attractive in the U.S. than it ever would be in Mexico. There's a bunch of Chivas fans that would happily see this Chivas if that was the only way they could do it. As long as they partnered with like an Amazon or a Netflix or whatever to carry the business.
Yeah, no, they missed it. They went wrong on that one. But with just for like by 2020, I feel some players will be available where the team can with the new influx of money, that they should be able to land one or two good players that could help push the team into not only qualifying for Liguilla, but have a decent shot at winning the title. So, Marco Fabian could be one of those players. Doesn't seem like he's stuck at Frankfurt, but I don't think he's part of the team's plans.
I fully expect Marco Fabian to move within the next couple of weeks. I was hoping he would move to Pumas. Other Pumas fans thought that I was crazy for suggesting it, but frankly, in budget they could pay for that plays as well as Marco Fabian.
Yeah,
that could help Pumas instantly.
that would
Exactly.
instantly help Pumas. So I think that's like one of the players, but there will be others. That that the other one was the defender from Monterrey, um,
Oh,
Montes,
Toro,
huh?
Cesar Montes.
Yes,
Cesar
Cesar
Montes.
Montes. He wanted to join Chivas, so that's a good sign. We've got to wait and see how if he's still in the plans, you know.
Did he fully recover from his
Oh,
injury?
I don't.
Did he fully wake up from the anesthesia that he wants to play for Chivas? Or
I
yeah,
don't know. I don't know, but that would be a big capture. I mean, you get those two players, and they automatically elevate the team. So who knows? They
without
still have
question.
they still have a year. They still have a year for that. A lot can
And of
happen in
course,
that time.
Chivas got trophies, that they can build around. We're
Trophies.
still waiting for La Trophies to unchain himself from the shackles of mediocrity, and then prove to the world, why Real Madrid was a very hesitant pass on La Trophies when Ronaldo was sold to Juventus. Obviously they couldn't afford him, even with all the money that they got from the Ronaldo deal. They just couldn't afford La Trophies. So that's where Joel, I am actually at a gas. I have to get gas, so you have to give me like 20, 30 seconds.
20,
I,
30
I will be
seconds
off
to.
the air. Yeah, to get gas and kolaches. So I will
Ah,
I will be I will okay, get kolaches and gas. I'm not gonna lie.
that's 30 seconds
I will be
seems
right
like
back.
very little time.
Well, I'm gonna do it very quickly. I'm gonna do it very quickly. All right, I'll be
Okay,
right back.
30 seconds. I will hold the fort for those still listening, or anyone listening. Um, so we had Copa MX today. Uh, so the results was Chivas beat. I don't even know the name of that team, but they won their second straight game, and then Pumas lost to Atlas, and oh yeah, it was Cimarrones. Chivas beat Cimarrones. It's a little bit confusing because that team's mascot is also it's a goat. It looks more like a ram. It kept confusing me. Um, Here we go. Copa MX results for today. So Lobos Buap was and they lost to Mineros, and that was the other match. There, those three games for today, and then I'll just talk about Pumas, and they seem to have relapsed. They had a very good season last year, uh, but then this year they started off with a defeat. I mean, not a defeat. They failed to beat Veracruz at home, and Veracruz's team expected to be relegated. The owner was having problems paying the players. It's just one of those teams that they always seem to be hanging by a thread, and it's a team that if it's like almost the 3 points. It's like a given 3 points if you're hosting them, but what makes them what made them interesting is their coach. So they managed to lure in Siboldi, and Siboldi is the guy that he led Santos to a league title. And well, not only did he lead Santos to a title, he pretty much tactically tactically outplayed all the teams that they faced during Liguilla. So I mean, Siboldi is someone to look after. He's upcoming coach, and he's already proving he's proving to be the real deal, man. I think if he should land one of the top Mexico teams, or even end up abroad. He's that. I think he's promising to be that good. Um, it seems like Joan is back.
Okay, I'm back. Did you
Yes,
share any deep dark secrets with
I
our
did.
audience while I was gone?
I was talking
Damn,
about
I'm good.
Pumas, how they seem to have relapsed because they tied Veracruz at home, which is a team that one would assume the 3 points. It's
They
the
did, but they got a great performance by their young goalkeeper, who a lot of people are now saying is going to be a future superstar. He's
oh,
that good.
nice.
Yeah. So yes, it was a difficult draw to swallow. They did have a goal disallowed by the video review, but the star of that show was the young Thibaut keeper, who did perform very nicely in that game, and it was the star of the show, frankly. So
Yeah.
it was disappointing. I don't think Pumas. I mean, they're certainly not going to get 30 points like they did in the last season. I think if Pumas can make it to 22, 23 points, that'll be a good season. I mean, I hate to say this. This is going to be a good season for them, as long as they avoid seasons in the you know in with totals in the teens. Then that should be good. If they make the Liguilla, it'll be a pleasant surprise, because I just don't think that Pumas they don't have the horses to be able to compete, at least in the second half of the season with the rest of the Liga MX. So we'll see what happens, but I am not expecting big things from Pumas this time around. And, they play a very predictable style, and it's a very direct style. So it's not anything. They don't have anybody on that team that the other team, quakes in their boots thinking about. So, hopefully I'm wrong, but I just don't see Pumas. I think Pumas is going to be one of the, kind of like Chivas was last year, where, like in the last couple of weeks, everything has to go right for them in order to qualify for the Liguilla, depending on other results. And I just don't think that those results are going to happen.
Yeah, it's not. But and I was mentioning the thing about Veracruz is that they managed to land Robert Dante Siboldi,
Yes.
and he is proving to be one of the best coaches in Liga MX. So yeah, I mentioned how when he led Santos to the league championship, he pretty much out coached every team that he faced, which is pretty impressive. Given it's pretty much his first, he's just starting, and to get the result with a team like Veracruz, with this lacking funds, the team seems to be hanging by a thread. I think it to me it speaks highly of his capacity. So I could see him ending up in a bigger Liga MX team, or even going abroad.
No, he had a really good, like you said, a good campaign with Santos. Was fired unceremoniously after a locker room altercation. Remember, so and he was the one that they ended up letting go, and he never, we'll never hear. How I always say the players say, "Un día todos sabrán la verdad." No one's ever going to know what really happened. But after this altercation, he was the one that ended up being let go. So you'd think that after something like that he would be not blackballed, but people would be hesitant to hire him again as a head coach. Obviously, Veracruz, they're in a dire situation because they're their porcentaje just frankly doesn't look good. But the reality is that we don't know what's going on with promotion relegation, because if a team that doesn't have the prerequisites to even play in Liga MX, Veracruz stays up, provided that they pay whatever it is that they have to pay to the team that wins the ascenso, as long as they don't have the prerequisite needs to the basic requirements in order for them to play in first division. But he is a very good coach.
Yeah, he might not save them, but I see him, like, overall, he's going to have them overperforming and just complicate things for a lot of teams. So I could see him doing that, which I hope it does. It shouldn't tarnish his record, you know, just because people know what he's dealing with. Right there.
Is one of those teams, Joel, that they should do better. I mean, I know that they have a really questionable front office where you have to wonder about the decisions that they make. But they have a really great fan base. The stadium is almost always pretty packed. It is hotter than hell in Veracruz and extremely humid. So you would think that when you have a combination of those intangibles, they would have one hell of a good home field advantage. But unfortunately for Veracruz, it doesn't seem to work out that way. For reasons, for other extra cancha reasons that we all know about, at least with the ownership situation, etc. So definitely a team to keep an eye on, Veracruz, and really the only way that they save themselves, aside from the crazy whatever it is that Liga MX is doing about promotion relegation, is if Lobos WAP just has an absolutely horrific, which frankly could very well happen.
Yeah,
they just completely go in the tank.
But I think they have someone like La Puente. He's part of the. He's like a general manager, and he's an old wolf,
Right.
when it comes to Liga MX, and they did get a result this week, if I'm not mistaken.
They beat Santos.
Yeah, so I think Santos stock could be going down. They've just been selling and selling. It's bound to catch up to them, selling off so much talent. So I think Santos stock is going down, and Chivas stock going up. But the relegation, we haven't talked about the relegation battle.
Well, like I said, Veracruz they're so far down. The closest team to them is Lobos WAP. And Lobos WAP, every time they win or lose, their multiplier is different than Veracruz. So if Lobos WAP would have to.
Okay, I have it, Yon. Here, Veracruz is in 18th place. Puebla is 17th. Querétaro 16.
Yeah, but how many points difference
between Puebla and Veracruz? Between Puebla and Veracruz?
Yeah.
20.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's half a season.
Snap. Yeah, and so Veracruz, Puebla, Querétaro, Atlas, and then Lobos. And yeah, Lobos is in 14th. So I think that was very smart, bringing in the Winston Wolf there, La Puente, and then so yeah, it looks like it's gonna be between. Wow, quite the uphill battle for Mr. Siboldi.
I mean, it's going to be next to impossible. But like I said, we don't necessarily. I mean, we keep hearing rumors that promotion relegation is being suspended for 2 years, and they're saying that there might be 19 teams in the Big MX. So who knows what's going to happen? They haven't really made it. They haven't really made it clear as far as how it's going to play out. So maybe that's what Veracruz is counting on. That regardless of how they do, they're still going to be in Liga MX. So they're planning for the future by getting this to World Liga.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think they did say that. They did talk about suspending the relegation, and then they haven't really much talked about it.
Yeah, I mean they want 20 teams.
That would make sense, I would
in Liga MX.
I would be all for that, just because that means more Mexican talent on the field. And I feel there are some venues capable and teams capable of fielding competitive teams.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice. I mean, I know that there are teams that Liga MX would absolutely love to be the two teams that fill out the 20-team roster. I mean, Atletico San Luis, whom, if I'm not mistaken, already won the Apertura, so they're already in the Ascenso final. And they love to have. So out of those three.
Yeah, I lost you there, Jorn.
I was saying that this. Excuse me, I'm chowing down on a kolache.
Oh.
Liga MX wants to expand to 20 teams, but I guarantee you that they're targeting a handful of teams to fill out the roster. San Luis, they would be thrilled to have them, and they already won the Ascenso in the Apertura, so they're in the Final Ascenso. So they're going to play for a chance to make promotion. The other team that they would love to have back is, of course, UDG, just because they have such a huge fan base in Guadalajara. And then, in my opinion, the third one will get Atlanta, just because of the tradition that they have, and because Cancun, and I don't know how many times I have to say it, Cancun is incredibly important to go in the future of the league.
Yeah, it's a good venue that I think hasn't been exploited.
There's no reason why Cancun can't put a 35,000 seat stadium very close to the Zona Hotelera and make it like a destination game for other teams' fans too. I mean, how cool would that be, Juan? Well, given the chance to go see Chivas, would you rather go see Chivas in Chiapas or in Cancun?
Yeah, I think Cancun, it seems the more attractive venue. Chiapas, I guess, if you know where you're going, in Oaxaca, but I think overall it's not that far from Mexico City. I think that's one of the things that makes it such a great venue, just the road game. You could have a lot of fans, all the Mexico City fans of teams like Pumas, Cruz Azul, America, all making trips going into Cancun for like a weekend match.
Exactly. And you play the game at, it's 7 o'clock on Saturday night. So you go see your team play, and then you can go to the disco afterwards, and then take care of your hangover the next day on the beach.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of these guys, they organize, they have like a bus, and everybody
Right.
pays, and they do the road trip on the bus. You don't need to go in your car. Um, but yeah, that's some of the stuff that makes some of these rivalries, some of these matchups so good. That you're the closeness of it, and that you're able to go and have this atmosphere in the stadium. So I think a lot of times it's lacking.
Right.
You
I mean
get
that's why when we had Tom Marshall on the show, he cannot understand how a city the size of Mexico City only has three clubs, and all three of them are within 4 miles of each other.
yeah. Yeah, and those are the only ones with like a big rivalry. But that's why a lot of times, well, not a lot of times. I feel that's why there's not that much bigger rivalries within Liga MX. A lot of times when you see the fans, the rival fans, they're from the same city. They didn't
Right.
exactly travel. They're like when you see all the Americanistas at the Zombie Life, they're from Guadalajara. They not that many came from the F.
Right.
And
Well, I mean, the
vice
reality is
versa.
going is that there's no Chilango would be caught dead in Guadalajara. Let's be honest.
and also vice versa. You just that doesn't happen as much. You don't see it as much as in like I'll say like England and Argentina where it's a big thing to go to the away game. Especially for the porra
Right.
for the ultra for the group that goes and a lot of times the team would pay for the porra to they would pay their trip.
Now, one team that does travel well like that is Tigres. They've had caravans. I mean, I remember they've had stadium invasions. Recently when Chivas was playing poorly, I know you're going to say which time, but they would go and invade the zombie life, and then have 5, 6 times. And then people coming from Monterrey, because as we all know, there's no Tigres fans outside of Monterrey, so they're not going to pop up in Guadalajara like they do American fans or Pumas fans, etc. But it does happen, although rare as it is. And Joel, our pick last year to win it all, Cruz Azul, started off slowly. They tied Puebla 1-1. But I do think that at the end of the day, Cruz Azul will be one of the teams that is competing for the championship. And the defending champions, America, for whatever reason, they didn't play their game against Necaxa. Liga MX wanted to go soft on them because, for whatever reason, they just didn't play.
Yeah, they they brought in four national team caliber players. Cruz Azul, you know, and their talking point was solutions. That was what Pelaez said. He said he wanted Caixinha to have, a bench where with type of players that they could resolve some of the games, and I do think these guys are gonna work out. I think in the long run, Cruz Azul will make the league, and they will be candidates once again. I mean, they did lose to America, but it wasn't that bad, I think Piojo got the best of Caixinha because that one first match was pretty even. I think Accinia got it wrong in the second game, and
What ended up happening was that Cruz Azul didn't put their chances in, and America did. I mean, that's what it all
yeah,
boiled down to.
yeah. But you know, some of the attitude in the players, for me, you could just tell that America wanted it more. You know.
It's
Um,
true. I mean, and even in that second leg, once America got the goal, Cruz Azul just could not. I mean, they couldn't even get an attempt on goal, much less a goal. So it was. I mean, America definitely outplayed them and outcoached them from the minute they got the goal, and then the second goal after that was going to be academic. They were going to get, and was able to get both of them as he is well on his way to becoming another Capitan Furia for Club America. It's funny, people always want to trash him for the performance that he had in the World Cup, but I mean, dude was 20 years old, and he played how many games in the World Cup, and 90% of the time that he played really well. Yeah, he had a couple of mistakes. That happens, but the future is definitely very bright still for him. And he's another one that if he does end up moving to Europe, don't go to the La Liga Jupiler. Go to La Liga and do well there. But big news this week, yesterday.
what is the big news?
Well, we had all figured it would happen. Nothing was ever made official until yesterday, but Gerardo Tata Martino, Argentine, former coach of Paraguay, former coach of Barcelona, is now taking on the biggest challenge of his life by coaching and having to deal with the Mexican press. No, but he was named the Mexican national team coach. Another very decent, very plum job for Tata Martino. A job where the pressure to perform, by the very nature of the region in which Mexico plays, is going to be very, very, very high. However, I will say this, and I do believe that the fact that he is from Argentina gives him a little more leeway and flexibility in as far as getting certain results. So his leash will be a lot longer than it would be for other coaches. And if they do give him the option of coaching beyond 2022, which I believe they have, and if by some miracle he stays on through 2022, then it will have turned out to be a very good hire for Mexico. Now, I don't think that there's one coach or another that can transform Mexico overnight. Blah, 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 blah. The task at hand for Tata Martino is to find the next group of young players and find them quickly in order for Mexico to compete in the upcoming World Cup qualifiers, and then the 2022 World Cup and the 2026 World Cup. So that is what is ahead of him. We've talked about this on the show before. Mexico does have a good group of young players, but the group of young players that they have are not playing in Europe; they're playing in Mexico. So I think we're gonna see the next base of Mexico's World Cup team is not going to be based in Europe like the team was in 2014 and 2018. It's going to be a team that's going to be based in Liga MX, and I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. I'm not sure why, but Liga MX, even among Mexicans, seems to not rate very highly And frankly, I think that judgment is misplaced. I'm not saying that Mexico is the Premier League, but Mexico is a lot better than 80% of the European leagues, and there's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, yeah. I think as far as finding these new players, I think that's part of what like Tuca was doing. So I would expect to see more of the same, like group that had been called up. Um, but I still think he's inheriting a fairly young squad. I mean, there's still a lot of players that are one have one World Cup left in them.
Well, I mean, let's look at that. So, of the players that are playing in Europe right now, that we're looking at players that could potentially play in Qatar. I think we're looking at Raul Jimenez, who is having just an outstanding season at Wolves, and proving to the world that he can. Not only can he play, he can hang, and he's not just he's not just scoring against Scunthorpe United. I mean, this dude's hanging goals on the big boys. He scored against Chelsea. He scored against Liverpool in the FA Cup just yesterday, as a matter of fact, and a great goal. Too. It's not like he's just getting in the way of the ball and then bouncing off him and going in. He's playing really well, and he is a playmaker. He's a goal scorer. He is someone that knows how to hold the ball. He is becoming an all-around excellent striker. He's going to make himself a lot of money after this season. So we have Raul, we have Chucky, who, for all intents and purposes, will probably be moving on from Eindhoven. I think Eindhoven's going to make a good chunk of money on him. And we have Jesus Corona, who again has moved to wingback, Joel, not playing forward, but playing the Miguel Layun role for Porto and doing very well. So those are the three players. See, and there it is, 3 players. So 3 players playing in Europe, relatively. Oh, and Carlos Salcedo, of course.
He broke up right there.
4 outfield players.
4 outfielders.
Well, so there's 4 outfield players that are playing in Europe. The other European-based team like it has been in the past, and that's the biggest task facing Tata Martino is finding those gaps. Who's going to be in his midfield, who's going to pair with Salcedo, who are going to be his wingbacks, who's going to be, is Ochoa still going to be the keeper? He has. This isn't just, this isn't what Piojo walked into, or even Osorio, where the team was already done. Osorio really didn't, out of maybe Gallardo, who did Osorio bring on that didn't already play or hadn't already played on the national team? Nobody. His team was already made. He knew what players he was going to bring.
Yeah. Yeah,
I thought that won't have that luxury.
No, but I don't think. I'm looking at the region. I don't think it's going to be that difficult, and then there's still. You have a team like Panama that is much older. I expect Panama to be stock to drop. I think Canada is going to be a bit more competitive, but not to that point where Mexico has anything to worry about. Same with U.S. I expect them to be more competitive, but they're still a very young team. Some of their more iconic players, like Dempsey and Bradley, they're pretty much on their way out. Uh, so they're depending on on their new stars. Like Pulisic was still very young, um, and then Costa Rica, which is a bit of a coin toss there. Uh, they have Matosas, and I know he's going to be compared to Pinto. At least the expectations, of and what Pinto was able to achieve with that team, and I don't think Matosas is going to be able to live up to that. And I just don't see Costa Rica right now having a team with some of that talent that the other guy had.
Well, Matosas is going to have to go through what Martino's going through is a generational change. I mean, Costa Rica had great success at the 2014 World Cup with the best generation of players that they have ever had, and they won a very difficult group. They got a little lucky in the round of 16. They got to play Greece, which they took care of business. It's one thing to get the luck. It's another thing to see it through. And they came very close to beating Holland in the quarterfinals. But I think the reality set in for them. Well, I should say that no one was going to be surprised by Costa Rica in the 2018 World Cup, and we saw that with their the game that they absolutely had to have, which was the game against Serbia. They ended up losing, and that was unfortunate for them. But they're going to go through a generational change, just like Mexico. I think Honduras is a team that's going to be more on the rise. They're going to be trending upward, like you said, and I agree with you. I think Panama will be trending downward, and I think Costa Rica will also be trending downward. But Panama and Honduras will be trending upward. So I think that if it's still a 32-team tournament for the World Cup, I would say that the favorites out of CONCACAF to make that right now are Mexico, the U.S., Canada, and Honduras. But and Costa Rica would probably make the repechaje. Actually, I'm sorry, it's 3.5 teams. So yeah, so someone's gonna sit it out. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, despite generational change, I think Tata is still the core group of the Mexico. I think he's still inheriting, a very strong core group where he can still count on goalkeepers like Corona and Memo Ochoa, and he still has defenders like Hector Moreno. Salcedo's there. Layun is still going to be there, at least going into qualifiers for the next 2 years. He still has this pretty good group that he could rely on, and not just exactly we say he could count on and not just rely on youth.
Right. Well, what he does have is a very strong spinal column, vertebral column, because he has, as you pointed out, good goalkeeping with either Ochoa or Corona, or the kid at Chivas, or even Lahoud. He has a very strong central defender, Carlos Salcedo. He'll have a very strong midfielder with Edson Alvarez. And he has an extremely strong, very versatile forward in Raúl Jiménez. Those are the four players he's gonna build the rest of the team around. I mean, Raúl Jiménez, in my opinion, is finally showing is living up to the potential that he has shown for 5 years. Just playing phenomenally well. He's not a tronco by any means at all. Has excellent ball control, great vision. Can score with the right or the left or the head or whatever. He's not just a one-trick pony, and is proving his mettle on the absolute biggest stage there is in world soccer, which is the Premier League, and doing well doing it. And he has Wolves, which anytime Wolverhampton makes the Premier League, they're there for maybe a year, two at the most. And adios, they're relegated. They're in at sixth place. They're battling for Europe, and it's I think that you could put a huge chunk of that success on the shoulders of Raúl Jiménez. That's what I believe.
Yeah, well, and just I would say, continue with that. I do think Mexico should be favorites going into the Gold Cup. So I could see him. I could see him winning that tournament.
Yeah, well, we talked about this last week, Joel, and I do think that the Gold Cup will be this generation's final rodeo for a lot of them. The Giovannis and the Chicharitos and the Carlos Velas and that whole gang. I think will play this Gold Cup, and it'll be, out of those three, maybe Chicharito makes it to the World Cup. I have my doubts, but maybe.
Do you don't think Vela would make it? Carlos Vela?
I just don't know what position he would play.
Well, I mean, he's 29. He'll be 32, which is, I wouldn't say old. If he's in top condition, if he's in top condition, I could see him. I could see him being valuable asset.
I'll give you Vela. I'll allow it.
You have Jonathan, Jonathan Dos Santos, who Martino already knows from his time in Barcelona. Well, he's 28. So he'll be about the same. They'll be in their early 30s. So I think for them to be at the World Cup, they would just have to be in doing really well, just playing at the top of their game.
Right. Well, I don't think that they would be starters, but they would be great. They give Mexico something that they just never had at a World Cup, and that's depth.
Yeah, experience.
Having that. Point, when Gallito had to sit out for suspension against Holland, who was the next man up for Piojo at that position? It was Carlos Salcido. And again, nothing against Carlos, but there were how many options did Mexico have at the defensive midfield position at that time?
Yeah, he wasn't. He was supposed to be your boy,
Chaton
Enriquez. What was it?
Jorge Enriquez.
And he just fell from grace pretty hard, man. But yeah, you're right. In having some of these players, and if they're at the top of their game and with just World Cup experience would be good. I don't think Guardado will make it.
No, he won't make it.
He will make it. The goalkeepers can, just because goalkeepers. Right. So Corona.
Yeah, Guardado is a shell of his former self. I can't even remember the last time he took a shot. I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah. But I see them still being pretty valuable assets.
Sure. I could certainly see that. But like I said, I think that that those guys would probably come off the bench, just because of their. I mean, they're going to have to play at an extremely high level for the next 3 years in order for them to be considered. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, with Vela, I feel that he's the type of player that if he enjoys himself, he plays at his best. And I think just because how comfortable he is at LAFC, I could see him maintaining that.
He has played very
You
well. He
know,
did play very
so
well.
so I just hope he keeps his motivation because sometimes that's the most difficult. The motivation. And for Vela, he might not just care. He's done it all already. That's been like the disappointment of a lot of the fans that he never seemed to be motivated to want to do more, and Mexico fans have expected more from him, just because they know of the type of talent he has and what he's capable of doing.
Right. Yeah, it's such a kick in the nuts to Mexico fans when
Yeah,
you have a guy like that, playing at his very best, and because of some stupid snit that the FMX Foot had with him and he had with FMX Foot, that he wasn't able to play it, or he didn't rather play at the World Cup in Brazil, which just to this day is just like, really. But you're right, though. I mean, maybe he didn't want to, for whatever reason, it just didn't happen. And it's just such a, you look at that team and go, man, if they had, I don't ever want to play, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But there's no doubt in my mind that a player like Carlos Vela would have been able to, resolve games like a Holland game and then a quarterfinal and a subsequent semi. They could have gone a long way with him, I think. Because
yeah,
as well as he was playing that season, he was the third player in the La Liga that year.
yeah. He was. He definitely was. Yeah. He just didn't like. He just never really cared too much for the pressure of playing in big teams. He always just seemed like
What do they have to do
he
with
only
pressure?
played soccer because of how talented he is. He's like, given a choice, you would have probably chosen some other sport.
Right. Yeah, it's just.
Well,
¿Ya te vas, Joel?
have, I have to head to work, man. A trabajar, se ha dicho. Um, but what is it today, man? We're heading into
Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Yes, it's already Wednesday where I am.
Pretty soon, match week 2 of Liga MX. Uh, and Chivas goes up against Cruz Azul. And I think that's going to be a little better indicator of where Chivas is with a match like that. I'm going to tell the Chi Hermanos, don't worry if there's a fracaso right there, just because Cruz Azul is a stronger team. So don't lose motivation. It's the season is young. Just just worry about how the team does against the rivals that they can beat. Like the Lobos and the Veracruces. If they can't beat those, then yeah, we have no business in Liguilla.
I mean, that's how Pumas made it into Liga last time.
Yeah,
They
just you
beat the
have
teams
to.
they were supposed to.
Yeah,
They got a handful of results against the teams that, the the outcome of victory was definitely in doubt. You know,
yes, sir.
so it's definitely like you said. All you need is 26 points.
26. Yeah, that's the magic number. And who does
20.
Pumas face, Yon?
I'm not sure. It might. No, it's not going to be Atlas. I mean, can't remember who it is, but yeah, Pumas. I just don't see them. I just don't think Pumas is going to amount to much this year, unfortunately. It makes Liga MX much less interesting for me to watch when Pumas is doing. And I have to admit, one of my secret joys is when in our private chitter twat chat group that we have.
Yes.
On Sunday afternoon after a Pumas win, when I just say Pumas with 2 exclamation points. I don't have to say anything else. It's I just don't think I'm gonna get to type that out as much this coming season.
Man. Well, it's Necaxa, Yon. Necaxa. You guys
That's what I figured. It was Necaxa.
You guys will be visiting Necaxa, and I think that
Pumas soils themselves when they play in Aguascalientes. Not a good venue for that.
Oh man. Okay, well that should tell us a little bit more if Pumas went into remission or if it was just a slip up.
Well, hopefully it'll be just a slip up.
It was just a slip up, and they'll have a chance to get back on track. And America, the defending champions, their match was postponed. So
yes, postponed.
But we didn't.
Postponed.
Yeah, we didn't talk much about America, but the past shows we've filled them with praise.
I think we've talked enough about America. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think there's much to be said.
Have you ever seen that scene in Silkwood where she gets contaminated and they're like hosing her off? No. That's what we have to do every episode after we give praise to America. We all have to hose off and go into the decontamination room. Get it all off of us.
Yeah, no, but yeah, in all seriousness, I think they are also candidates. A lot of people can see them winning back-to-back titles, and yeah, I wouldn't. I would say that's very possible.
Well, yeah, Coyle, if your kid tells you, "Oye, papi,
oh man,
le voy a ir a America." I mean, wouldn't your first reaction be Fuchi? No, Fuchi, no.
I don't know. That's a tough one, man. I would probably feel I failed them as a parent. I would say. I don't know. That would be tough.
That would be tough. That would be a hard. Yeah, boy, that is. You know what you'd have to do, Juan? You'd have to just drive them to your former neighbor. Just drop them off and go, aquí está. Lléveselo.
There he is with the.
Yeah, your former neighbor that had the Club America logo. You know, the house could have been falling apart more, but the curbside paint had a Club America logo.
That left quite the impression on you, Yon.
Well, it just cracked me up. Like this house is like completely falling apart. But damn it, if his curb doesn't look good with that Club America.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Yon was in LA. We were gonna go watch a Selección game at the Coliseum, and he came to pick me up, and my neighbor, I live around the block from my house. He has he's a big America fan, and he has in his front porch the America flag. He has it hanging, and where the people paint their house address, it had the whole America, the logo and the colors. Yeah, it's big Americanista fan, that guy. And there's another one around there, and he has like a truck that he collects scrap metal with, and the whole truck is painted. It's painted like America. Yeah, the whole truck. I haven't seen it. I kind of regret not taking a picture.
Is it just painted in America colors, or is he using the pattern of what I hate to say? is one of the greatest soccer shirts in history, where
Yeah.
they have like the blue with the yellow and the blue and the yellow.
Yes.
That would be badass.
No, it
That's how he
is.
painted his truck.
Yeah, it has the pattern of one of the jerseys. It has,
See now,
and the logo. I don't know if it's in the door or in the front of the hood, but I if I see it, I'll take a picture. I regret not taking a picture when I had the chance.
you know the fact that they don't use that uniform more, frankly, shocks me. Because when I think of the America that I truly despise and hate, like America at its heyday, was when they wore that uniform. And they don't wear it anymore. It's like, how can you not wear that uniform anymore? It was like, it's so emblematic of who they are, and what, as fans of other teams, just grew to just really despise them, was when they wore that goofy ass uniform. But I mean, it's iconic. It worked.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember
yeah, it is.
when Memo was with American and he came, and his goalie jersey was done in that pattern.
I know I
Not the
can't.
colors, but the pattern.
Honestly, I
And yeah,
can't.
it was like, holy, it looked great. It looked great.
Well,
It's like Jesus Corona, I think, has earned at Cruz Azul the right to wear a Miguel Marin sweater. But I think that it's kind of like, the 58 at Santos. If you're good enough to wear 58, then here you go. If you're good enough to
well,
wear Marin sweater, here you go.
no, but the 58, and I know Borghetti made it, but the 58 was because even Benjamin Galindo wore 58, and that was
No, yeah, but I'm talking
it
about
was a
in
radio
Santos
station.
58.
Yeah, it was a radio station, and
La
they would.
Pantera?
I forgot, but it's a Mexican radio station, and that was their. It was 58, and they would. That's how they would promote. It was a kind of a smart way to promote. You know, to
Oh,
get
yeah?
on the team, and promote it without paying. They would just pay the player, and so a lot of the teams would have a number 58. Uh, they would have a number 58 in the team, and I remember for a
Well,
while, I think it was Benja, they would wear the 58 in Chivas, but a couple teams would have it. But that was a radio station promotion.
well,
At,
Jared made
yeah,
that 58 very. I
he
mean, that
he
is
made it
his
his
number.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think a lot of teams ended up cracking down on that. You know, like, yeah, we're not gonna let you do that no more. So it stopped. Either that or the station just went off air.
Well,
Bueno, Yon, I have to sign off right here.
all right, Joel. Well, it was good to have you on. It was good to have everybody on
Yeah,
here on the CantinaMX podcast. For those of you that were on the chat, I would have loved to have chatted with you, but since I'm driving, I figured y'all wanted to keep my eyes on the road, which is what we did here in the CantinaMX podcast. But Juan Aceves, I'm very, very glad that you were able to join me here on my drive back home. I apologize for interrupting the middle of our show so I can get some delicious and nutritious
always
kolache.
delicious. Yeah.
Shame on Chickies for trashing my kolaches.
Oh,
So, we're trying to get sponsors, Chickies. That's not how you get a sponsor.
yeah. It's bad job, Cheeky.
Just want to know that the opinions of Chickies do not necessarily reflect the opinions of us or this podcast. Well, Joel, have a good week. Have a good rest of your week, and
Thank
we
you,
will
Jon.
talk to you next time. Thank
Yeah.
you, and thank you, audience, for listening here on the CantinaMX podcast. Our little late night drive-by gentleman's agreement version of the CantinaMX podcast. Always good to have you guys listen to us. Again, you can listen to us live, usually on Thursday nights, occasionally with minutes notice, like we did tonight. We're on a Tuesday. Or you can download us from iTunes, subscribe to us on iTunes and also on Google Play. And this will be automatically downloaded onto your device of your choice. So we do appreciate your patronage. Again, my name is John Jagoob. We will talk to you again very soon. Rest of your week. We will talk to you later. Thank you very much.
All right. Good night, John.
Hang on.